Once upon a time, many years ago, when a country banker used to drive around in a horse and buggy, he could make a pretty good guess at what a farmer was worth by the size of the manure pile near his barn. A large pile meant that the farmer had a good herd and was doing all right. Today, that same old pile of manure is still a good index of what a farmer is worth. But it's not the size of the pile that counts anymore. It's how fast he keeps it moving into the field. For fresh manure is plant food, rich in minerals and humus material that make crops grow faster and better and yield a bigger cash return. For every ton of fresh manure a farmer puts on his land, he gets back $3 in extra cash crop value if he uses fresh manure. $3 a ton if he keeps it moving. What happens to manure that doesn't keep moving? Well, here's a good example. Rain will leach away the rich, soluble plant foods that make manure so valuable to the crops. Manure that is dumped in the field or the barnyard quickly loses the liquid portion which contains half of the plant food value. By piling the manure out in the open, leaching and drying can remove as high as 60% of its fertilizer value. Figured in cash, that's about $1.80 a ton that some farmers will toss right out the door. That may sound unbelievable, but farmers know it's true. Well, this fellow must have an awfully good reason for doing it this way when he knows he's losing money. Let's ask him. Just a minute there, mister. Take a good look at that shovel of yours. Yes, that's real cash. Extra money you could get out of increased crop yields if you handle it right. Now, what's the answer? Why do you handle manure this way when you know that piling it up instead of spreading it in the field is robbing your crop and cutting down your cash income? What's the answer?
Here's the answer right here. I could do a lot of things to improve my farm if I had the time. I know that spreading the manure in the field while it's fresh does a lot of good for my crops. I'd like to do it every day. But just stop and figure what I'm up against. To load my wagon, I've got to pitch it into the wheelbarrow first, wheel it out, and then pitch it up onto the wagon. That's handling it twice, and that takes time. And that's just the beginning. I can't use the tractor to haul this outfit because I need another man on the wagon to spread. So I've got to hook up the horses. That means slow going, and it's a long haul to the field. And when you get out there, it's no easy job to untangle and spread this stuff by hand. It's heavy, and if you don't shake it out and spread it thin, you can't cover enough ground to make it worthwhile. And big lumps don't do the crops as much good. I'm telling you, it's plenty hard work.
Sure, it's hard work, and it takes time. Those are two good reasons for buying a manure spreader.
I was waiting for you to say that. Well, I'll give you two good reasons why I can't afford one. My herd is too small to support a manure spreader, and I mean that both ways, capacity and cost. I borrowed Joe Carson's spreader once, and it took 3 or 4 days with my herd to make up one good load that'd fill the spreader. There's no sense in chasing out to the field every day with less than half a load. And in the second place, there isn't enough money in milk from a small herd to pay the price of these big manure spreaders. And even if I did have one, there's a lot of times I couldn't pull it with my small tractor. It wouldn't pull Joe Carson's.
Maybe it wouldn't if the ground was wet.
You know, I do about everything on the farm with that tractor, except spread manure.
Well then, what you need in this picture is a small manure spreader.
Well, maybe you're right, but... Well, I'll be doggone. It's a sulky.
No, sir. It's a new small herd manure spreader on rubber tires, streamlined for your tractor. The first one of its kind and the latest on the market. Look her over.
Gosh, it's half pint size, ain't it?
Sure, it's small. That's what you wanted. And it costs about half as much, too.
Yeah?
And what's more, it's just as rugged in construction, just as complete in every feature as the bigger spreaders. It's built to carry the heaviest load you can pile into it.
It won't hold as big a load as Joe Carson's.
But your load is not as big as his either, so why get a big spreader? Look, You bought that light pickup truck because it was just the right size for hauling your regular loads. You wouldn't think of buying a truck 3 times as big to haul the same load, would you? All right. This spreader is big enough to easily handle your load, and it costs less.
How much will she hold?
It's designed to take care of herds up to 12 or 15 head, plus the manure you get from the other stock.
Well, that's big enough for me. How much did you say it costs?
The price of this little spreader is lower than you'd ever think. About what you'd pay for a good mowing machine.
Sounds pretty good. That is, if she'll do the work.
Well, what are you waiting for? Get hold of the front end, and I'll show you why this spreader is so easy to handle. The axle has been placed in such a position that the weight of the spreader is evenly distributed, whether it's empty or full. Now push it in the barn and give it a trial. Go ahead. See how easy it moves around? Easy handling, getting into tight places, getting close to the load. That's how this new machine saves time and labor for you. And when you see how simply it operates with a tractor, you'll want to handle it from the driver's seat all the time. Now let's get the tractor and hook her up. With that balanced axle, there'll be no excessive weight on the drawbar of your tractor. And that means better traction for the spreader, too. It takes about 5 seconds to hook up to the tractor. Compare that with the time it takes to hitch up a team. Now, if you'll just grab that shovel, we'll see how this spreader cuts down on one of the hardest daily labor jobs on the farm. Oh, you've got the idea already. Built close to the ground, this spreader is easier to load. A shorter lift from the floor, less work, less time. And remember, this way you handle it only once, right from the barn to the field. That's how you cut down time and labor, and at the same time, you increase the value of each load of manure. You spread it while it's fresh.
How much did you say she costs?
That's the best part of the story. Let's fill her up and get out to the field. Right here's where the fun begins. Up into the driver's seat and away we go, rolling on rubber. Keep it moving. It's speed like this that makes it possible for the farmer to spread manure every day at a profit. Speed that is made possible only with modern, streamlined equipment that is designed to meet the faster pace of the tractor. It takes about 1/4 as much time with this tractor spreader to do the same amount of work. This is the way to feed the crops. The steady flow of fresh, full-strength fertilizer, uniformly chopped and distributed. No big lumps or clods of tangled litter. And this flow can be regulated in quantity or speed to suit requirements. For top dressing or seedings, a thin, even spreading produces the finest results. Even in winter, the speed of this equipment, the thin, even spreading, makes it possible to do the whole job in a remarkably short time. Lighter, easier, and more pleasant work. You don't sit on the load when you have this tractor-operated spreader. Everything is controlled from the driver's seat on the tractor. For larger farms with bigger herds, Harvester makes another spreader with a much greater capacity, but with the same modern features, the same rugged construction, the same simplicity and ease of handling. But whether your farm is big or small, if you want extra income, if you want better crops every year, if you want to insure yourself against drought and the loss from soil depreciation, handle your manure the right way. And there's only one way to do that. Keep it moving.
She's good enough for my money. Did you say the price is low?
I sure did. Ask your Harvester dealer. He'll give you the good news.